Oh, hi there! How are ya? I really hope that you had a lovely summer. However, now it is the start of the new school year and it is really important to start it right. Here's basically like everything you need to know about motivation, how to set up a good study space, and the best study methods to use. So let's get straight into it. Come on in! So I will start off this video by saying that the start of the year is actually the best time for you to try out new study methods. This is because right now you have the time to do some trial and error to see what helps to get information to stick into your head and what is just like a waste of time. For example, if you are studying by just highlighting your notes and reading your textbook, you should probably stop that now and try something else, because that's a passive study method and you want to be using active study methods instead. And if you look into better study methods now, your future self will thank you so much for saving so much time on studying, because when you use bad study methods, that takes up a lot more effort and a lot more energy than good study methods. However, what is a good study method is actually quite an individual thing. What can work for one person may not work as well for somebody else. So it is really important to spend some time at the start of the year to find study methods that work for you. However, it is also really important to find a study space that also works for you. And I thought, what better place to talk about this than my own study space right here. So why is it important for you to sort out a study space sooner rather than later? Let me tell you. So having a good study space is actually all about making sure that you're doing your homework and you're doing your study. Getting into the habit of sitting down in a specific place to do your study, to do your homework, to be focused is really important for like the rest of the year. Because let's face it, towards like the end of the year in December, you're going to start feeling demotivated to study. However, if at the start of the year you got into the habit of sitting down in a specific spot to do your work, to stay focused, then it's going to be a lot easier for you. And so this is a great excuse to go out and get some decorations, some posters, some postcards to put up on the walls, to make where you study just feel a lot more inviting. Because if you make where you study more inviting, then it's a lot more likely you'll sit down and actually do your work. And if your desk is always super crowded with like, rubbish and stuff, you're not going to feel motivated to sit down and do work. And also I'd like to just add that your study space doesn't have to be anything too fancy, especially if you are sharing a room with a sibling and it's not always quiet, then obviously getting some decorations for your desk isn't gonna help too much. However, what can help instead is finding a place in your town or in your city to sit down and study in. Libraries are absolutely great for this, and a lot of them close at 6 p.m, so you can go there straight after school before you go home. And you can go to a library to study like during the week or even on the weekends. And maybe even try to find a specific spot in the library that you always go to and that you hope will be free for when you go into it after school or on the weekend. When I was living in Cork, my room was absolutely tiny, and if I wanted to study, I actually needed to fold out my desk, because otherwise my door wouldn't close, which I just wasn't bothered to undo each time I wanted to come in and out of the room. And so what was a huge game changer was actually going to after school study, which is basically just 2 hours after school. We'd sit down in one of the classrooms and just do our homework, do our study, and have that over and done with before I got home. I used to go there every single day of the week, and I actually had a specific spot that I used to sit in every single time beside my friend Jamila, and we'd make a cup of tea and we'd get our study done. It was brilliant. But now that I'm in college, I can't actually go back to my old secondary school for 2 hours after lectures, so I have my little study spot here instead. So whether you are studying from home or you're studying elsewhere, make sure that you find a little spot that is welcoming, that you can make it feel like your own. It could even just be bringing in your own mug for after school study to drink your tea out of to make it feel more cozy. It's just finding what works for you. But no matter where you're studying, I'd really recommend to keep your area clean and tidy. And so this neatly brings me on to what kind of organization methods you should use at the start of the year. Let's go talk about that. So let's talk about organization methods, and what better time to talk about them than while organizing my own bookshelf. So first things first, I think the essentials for getting organized for the school year is first just decluttering your bag from the year beforehand, and then obviously making sure that all of your notes are in specific folders for your different subjects so that you can easily find everything. So yeah, first of all, be sure to get yourself organized in that regard. Know where your uniform is, have all your books in your bag, and then also there are some organization methods that aren't as obvious. For example, a unique way that you can start getting organized for school is actually by creating a brain dump journal. This is kind of to keep your mind organized throughout the year. So if you have a specific journal, notebook, or little copy where you can just write down all of your thoughts as they go into your head and have them all in one place, that will help you throughout the year. If you are feeling anxious about a test and you're thinking about it at night, the night before you have it, then you can just open this journal, write down that you're feeling stressed out and have it in that journal. Close it, tuck it away into your bag, and go soundly sleep. In this journal, you can also write down all of the mistakes that you spot yourself making. If there's a specific definition in biology that you're really struggling with, you can jot that down. And then when you're looking over your journal, you'll be able to know oh, I made a mistake here, or I made a mistake there. Keeping yourself emotionally and mentally organized, I think is just as important as having your bag packed the day before you're back to school. Personally, I actually kept a journal from third year onwards, and honestly it is also so much fun to look back over. And if you guys would be interested in me going through those journals, I'd be happy to make a video about that. But having these brain dump journals, these safe spaces, I think is really essential for being organized. And then also what you can do is you can take out an A4 sheet of paper and write down what materials you need for each subject that you'll be doing. For example, for maths and for your science subjects, you're always going to need a calculator. You're always going to need pencil or a pen or maybe a ruler or that sort of stuff. So having everything written down on a sheet of paper, you can have a little look at it the night before you have your classes and then see whether you have everything. And this will save you from showing up to school without the right materials, because I used to always do that in second year. I never had my stuff with me. And also, by the way, getting into the habit of being organized and having all of your materials in one place is going to be so useful for you later on in life, even beyond the junior cycle and leaving cert. When I was talking about this whole idea of having a brain dump this whole idea of having a brain dump journal, I still have that for college. Whenever I am struggling with something to do with French or psychology, I have everything written out here so I can sleep peacefully at night, knowing that even if I'm not the best student right now, at least I know where I need to improve and where I can find the questions that I'm struggling with and the topics that I find tricky. So handy. By the way, another top tip, if you are procrastinating packing your bag, as I am right now, perhaps you just need a little friend to motivate you and to meow at you until you get it packed, and then you go feed them. Isn't that right? Do you have any study advice? Okay. And so finally, one important aspect of every start of an academic year is motivation. Although motivation is something that really fluctuates throughout the year, sometimes you feel really motivated to do loads of study, but then when it's almost Christmas time and the nights are coming a lot quicker and you just want to be tucked into bed watching the Late Late Toy Show, you're not going to be as motivated to study. No, God! So by motivating yourself at the start of the school year to get loads of work done, to get loads of study done, you're actually just building really good habits that you can carry on throughout the year, even when you're not feeling that motivated. No, God, please, no! And so what really worked for me is actually finding a physical reason to be studying. What does this mean? It's basically just something that you can keep in your room, keep in your sight, that you'll look at and you'll remember why you're studying. For me in particular, I just always loved Pinterest. So for me, my physical thing that was motivating me was making fun mood boards of being a data science student, because that was my goal. I really wanted to study data science. So embarrassing to talk about now, but it did actually motivate me to study. And so I had all of these aesthetic images that I'd look at that and be like, yeah, so I'm studying right now so I can get the points for these data science courses, and so that I could go and live my best Pinterest board dream life. But if that's not really your thing, then you can find other like physical ways to get yourself motivated. For example, it can be something as small as like following people on social media that are doing your dream course or are living your dream life. Or alternatively, what you can do is if you want to get like a really good job, then you can just like write yourself a check for like some large amount of money and like put it up by your study desk, and then kind of have this mentality that like, oh, I'm studying because one day I want to write myself that check for me, for my hard work, and this is why you're sitting down to study. It can truly be anything, and if you have like a specific dream or a specific course that you want to do, a specific job, then let us know in the comments down below. I'd be really curious to hear about this. And before we finish up, here is probably the best piece of advice that you could get, and is the best piece of advice that I've ever gotten, is that you shouldn't forget to be kind to yourself throughout the year. What I mean by this is that if you need a break, take a break. If you are feeling overwhelmed, go talk to somebody. Don't just keep it all in. Be sure to be taking care of yourself like throughout the entirety of the year, and not just at the start of the year when you're feeling motivated. Like, take care of yourself throughout the year. I really hope that you found this video useful, and if you did, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. And don't forget to leave a like too. I hope this helps, and best of luck with the study.